What if ancient humans had never discovered fire? The world changes at the edge of a grassland after a storm. Rain has passed over the high country and left the ground dark. Far beyond a line of thorn trees, lightning has opened the sky. Dry grass burns in a moving orange wall. Birds rise ahead of it. Antelope run through smoke. Hyenas circle at a distance, waiting for whatever the flames leave behind. A young woman stands where green grass meets black earth. We will call her Nara, although no name spoken more than 1,000,000 years ago could have reached us. She belongs to a human lineage living in Eastern Africa, a population of upright walkers with skilled hands, sharp stone tools, long memories, and no reliable command of flame. Beside her is a boy of 8 years. His name, for this story, is Tavi. He watches a branch collapse from a burning tree. One end glows red after it strikes the ground. The flame is small now. It crawls along the bark instead of racing across the grass. Tavi steps toward it. Nara catches his wrist. He has seen fire before. Everyone in the group has. Fire comes with lightning, drought, volcanoes, and wind. It clears grass. It kills nests. It drives animals into open ground. Afterward, the people sometimes search the cool ash for injured prey, cracked nuts, or roots softened by heat. They know what fire does. They do not know how to make it remain. In our history, some distant human ancestors crossed that boundary. They learned that flame could be approached, fed, carried, protected from rain, and eventually created when no natural fire was available. The change probably did not happen in one heroic afternoon. It may have happened many times, in many places, through small acts repeated across generations. In 2026, evidence from Wonderwork Cave in South Africa pushed the association between hominins and fire as far back as roughly 1.07 to 1.79 million years. Burned small animal bones were found deep enough inside the cave that ordinary wildfire was an unlikely explanation. The discovery does not prove routine cooking or reliable fire making it that early date. It suggests something quieter and perhaps more important. Ancient humans were repeatedly bringing fire where nature would not have carried it for them. So one frightened child stepping away from one burning branch would not be enough to create tonight's alternate world. Another child would approach another branch. Another group would preserve embers beneath bark. Another lineage would learn to feed a fading flame. For humans never to discover fire, every one of those cultural experiments must fail. Natural fires still burn. Lightning still strikes. Volcanoes still glow. Forests still ignite in dry years. But no human population ever turns combustion into a dependable technology. No group keeps embers through the night. No family carries a coal to a new camp. No one learns the combination of dry fuel, oxygen, friction, and patience that makes heat appear from cold material. The branch before Tavi burns lower. He points at it and makes a questioning sound. Nara pulls him back again. Her mother bears a scar from a grass fire. An old male in the group lost the use of one hand after reaching into ash that still held heat. Fire is not a tool in their culture. It is a moving animal without a body. It has no eyes, but it finds you. It eats without becoming full. It dies when rain comes and returns when the sky breaks. The group waits until the following morning before entering the burned land. They find a small antelope killed by smoke. The outer flesh has been heated. The smell draws everyone closer. Tavi tears at the meat with a stone flake. It is softer than raw muscle. The fat has changed. He eats quickly. For one meal, the group receives part of cooking's advantage without learning how to cook. That distinction will shape everything that follows. Controlled fire did far more than make food warm. Heating can increase the net energy available from many starches and proteins. It can soften tissue, reduce chewing effort, lower some digestive costs, destroy many pathogens and parasites, and make certain plants safer to eat. Researchers still debate how early cooking became habitual and exactly how strongly it drove human evolution. The strongest form of the cooking hypothesis remains contested, but modern humans are unusually dependent on high-quality, easily processed food. No known human foraging society lives entirely without cooking. People who attempt long-term raw diets under modern conditions often struggle to maintain energy balance. A fireless lineage could survive, but it would not simply be us eating cold meals. It would have to become a different kind of human. Nara's group already spends much of the day searching, cutting, pounding, chewing, and digesting. They eat ripe fruit when it is available, soft leaves, seeds cracked between stones, marrow from broken bones, insects, eggs, shellfish near seasonal water, and raw meat taken from hunted or scavenged animals. Tough roots are sliced thin and crushed. Bitter plants are soaked in running water. Meat is beaten against stone to break fibers before it reaches the mouth. Food processing exists without flame. Stone can cut. Water can leach toxins. Sun and wind can dry. Microbes can ferment. Teeth can finish what tools begin. Yet every method costs time. By midday, the adult's jaws are tired. Children chew small portions for long periods. Old people become vulnerable when their teeth wear down. A successful hunt does not guarantee safe abundance. Meat spoils quickly in heat. The group must eat, share, dry what the weather allows, or leave the remainder to scavengers. Tavi carries a strip of sun-dried meat as they move toward a rocky ridge. The group numbers 27. At night, they do not gather in one glowing circle. They divide between a shallow cave mouth, thorn shelters, and low trees with branches strong enough to hold a sleeping body. Darkness closes around them completely. The moon has not risen. The burned grassland, so visible during the day, disappears. Leopards can see better than humans in this light. Hyenas can smell the remains of the antelope on their hands. Lions patrol beyond the ridge. The group has defenses. They choose campsites carefully. Thorn branches are pulled into walls. Stone tools remain within reach. Adults sleep in shifts. Children are placed near the center. When one person hears movement, everyone wakes. Fire, in our history, did not create safety. A determined predator could still approach a camp. Sparks could escape. Smoke could damage lungs. Wood had to be gathered. Yet flame changed the balance. It made many animals cautious, extended visibility, and allowed humans to occupy the ground after sunset with greater confidence. Without it, night remains someone else's territory. Tavi wakes when a hyena laughs below the ridge. He cannot see Nara, although her shoulder touches his. Around them, people breathe quietly. Nobody tells a story. Long speech would hide the small sounds that matter. A moving stone, a branch underweight, air pushed from an animal's nose. The group's language is rich enough for plans, memory, warning, affection, and argument. Fire is not required for language. Cooperation is already essential. People teach children where water remains during dry months, which tracks belong to wounded animals, which roots can be eaten, and which neighboring groups will share access to a river. But fire would have given conversation new hours. Studies of recent hunter-gatherer communities cannot be projected directly into deep prehistory, yet they offer useful clues. Among Jew-Hoansi communities observed in southern Africa, daytime conversation often centered on immediate work and social regulation. Firelit evening talk moved towards stories, distant people, ritual, imagination, and the larger patterns of culture. Fire did not invent storytelling. It created a reliable setting where stories could grow without competing with daylight survival tasks. Nara's people still tell stories. They tell them while walking. They sing during gathering. They use gesture and rhythm at dusk. On bright moonlit nights, several families sit together in an open place. Older people describe floods, migrations, deaths, and animals that behave like people. Children learn through repetition. The difference is not silence. The difference is time under protection. When darkness is dangerous, imagination must share the night with vigilance. Before dawn, the hyenas move away. The group descends from the ridge. Tavi finds a blackened branch from the old fire and carries it for several kilometers. It stains his fingers. He uses the charcoal to draw a thick line on pale stone. The mark survives rain for 3 days. Fire can change culture even when nobody controls it. Charcoal can be collected after wildfire. Heat-fractured stone can be found. Burn landscapes produce new plant growth and easier hunting. Humans in this world learn to follow fire, read it, and harvest what it leaves. They never become its keeper. For a while, that seems like a limitation rather than a sentence. The climate is warm. Food returns with the seasons. Nara's group moves through familiar territory. Children survive. Stone technology improves. A skilled hand can detach a sharp flake with one controlled strike. Wooden digging sticks are shaped by abrasion and cutting rather than flame hardening. Spears remain effective when made from dense straight wood and tipped with stone or bone. Human ingenuity does not disappear because one technology is absent. It bends around the missing space. Then the cold season lasts longer than anyone remembers. Rain comes late. The morning air bites exposed skin. Herds move south. Fruit becomes scarce. The group's oldest members speak of a valley beyond the northern hills where water remains through dry years. Another band has traveled there and returned with shells from a distant lake. Tavi is now 13. He wants to follow them. Nara does not. The northern route climbs into high ground. Nights there are cold even during good seasons. The group owns hides, but preparing thick hides without smoke and heat is difficult. They scrape flesh with stone, pound fibers, work fat into skin, and dry it in shade. The result provides protection, yet it stiffens, rots, and carries insects. Clothing exists. It is expensive in labor and never quite enough. The group debates for 2 days. They do not sit around a council fire. They gather under a fig tree while the sun is high. Speakers place stones on the ground to mark water holes. A line scratched in dust represents the ridge. Nara argues for moving south with the herds. A hunter named Oru argues that the north offers water and fewer competing groups. Tavi listens to both. He has inherited Nara's caution and something she does not recognize in herself: the desire to test the edge of every known map. The group divides. 14 people follow Oru north. Nara remains with 12 moving south. Tavi stands between them until the last moment. Then he steps toward Oru. Nara does not call him back. She gives him a pierced shell worn on a fiber cord. 3 small cuts mark its edge. The shell came from a coast she has never seen. It traveled through many hands, evidence that people connect landscapes larger than any one life. Tavi closes his fingers around it. The 2 groups separate before sunset. For 6 days, the northern party follows riverbeds and animal paths. They sleep close together beneath hides. At lower elevations, the cold is uncomfortable. Higher up, it becomes a physical force. Without fire, there is no warm center to return to after wind. No heated stone beneath bedding. No way to dry clothing after rain. The group builds low shelters against rock and packs grass around bodies. They huddle. They eat constantly when food is available because metabolism is their only furnace. On the 7th night, rain becomes sleet. Tavi wakes, shaking so violently that his teeth hurt. Beside him, a younger child has stopped shivering. The adults know this is dangerous without understanding the physiology. They press the child between warm bodies. They wrap every dry skin around him. They make him move. Dawn arrives pale and slow. The child does not wake. Oru turns the group south. They never reach the distant valley. This one death does not prove that fireless humans can never enter cold country. Clothing can improve. Shelters can become more insulated. Bodies can adapt across generations. Groups can migrate seasonally and exploit brief warm periods. Humans are flexible animals, but every cold boundary becomes harder. In our history, hominins moved through fluctuating climates, crossed highlands, lived through glacial periods, and eventually occupied environments from tropical forests to Arctic coasts. Fire was not the only reason they succeeded. Clothing, fat-rich diets, shelters, cooperation, and learned geography all mattered. Without controlled heat, those margins narrow. The map of humanity remains closer to the warm belt of the planet. When Tavi returns to Nara months later, he is thinner and no longer eager to speak about the North. He gives the shell back. Nara refuses it. He wears it for the rest of his life. Generations pass without a clean border between one kind of human and another. Tavi's descendants are not copies of him. Natural selection works through small differences, repeated across immense time. Culture changes the pressures acting on bodies, and bodies change the possibilities available to culture. In our world, cooked food likely contributed to a long package of human traits: reduced chewing demands, smaller teeth and jaws, altered digestive investment, greater access to energy, and more time released from eating. Meat, marrow, tools, food sharing, and other forms of processing also mattered. No serious reconstruction can assign every anatomical change to one cause. In the fireless world, the package develops differently. Faces remain more robust. Back teeth stay larger. Jaw muscles retain greater strength. Digestive systems remain better suited to high-fiber, minimally processed foods. The gut microbiome follows a different history. Children spend longer learning what can be chewed, soaked, pounded, fermented, or safely eaten raw. Brain evolution does not simply stop. This matters. Fire is not a magic substance poured into a skull to produce intelligence. Corvids solve problems without cooking. Chimpanzees plan, deceive, use tools, and understand relationships without tending flames. Early hominins made sophisticated stone tools before the strongest archaeological evidence for habitual fire. Social cooperation, hunting, scavenging, navigation, childhood learning, and environmental change all place demands on cognition. A fireless human lineage could still become highly intelligent. The cost would be energetic. A large brain consumes a great deal of energy. So does a large digestive system. So does keeping a body warm. Evolution cannot maximize every expensive organ without trade-offs. In this world, some populations develop brains approaching the range of later humans, but the average path is slower and more variable. Bodies remain adapted to intensive chewing and digestion. Childhood may lengthen, yet population growth remains low because mothers cannot easily secure the surplus energy needed for frequent births. There may never be a species exactly like Homo sapiens. There may be several regional human lineages instead, each intelligent, social, and culturally complex, but none carrying the same combination of anatomy and energy use that produced us. 180,000 years before the present, a woman named Kila walks along a coast beside the Indian Ocean. The name is again ours, offered only so one life does not disappear inside a population model. Kila's people live where warm currents, tidal flats, fruiting trees, shellfish beds, and river mouths place many foods within a small territory. The coast is one of the great refuges of fireless humanity. It offers raw food that is already soft, dense, or safe enough to eat with limited processing. At low tide, children collect shellfish and seaweed. Adults spear fish in shallow water. Nuts are cracked on stone anvils worn smooth by generations. Soft tubers are grated against rough rock and soaked in woven bags. Meat is sliced into thin sheets and dried in wind behind screens that keep birds away. The settlement is temporary by our standards and permanent by theirs. 38 people return to the same ridge each season. Their shelters are built from bent branches, leaves, bark, hide, and woven grass. No hearth marks the center. Instead, a freshwater seep does. Pads radiate from it. Families sleep in a ring of raised platforms above damp ground. They call the place by a word meaning the water that waits. Keela is known for making containers. Without pottery, a container is never a trivial object. She coils reeds into baskets tight enough to hold seeds. She seals some with plant resin collected cold from damaged trees. She carves bowls from softwood using stone adzes and abrasive sand. Gourds are grown, dried in the sun, opened, and fitted with fiber handles. Animal stomachs and bladders become water bags after careful cleaning. Her finest vessel is made from layered bark stitched with cord and coated in wax taken from wild bee nests. It can hold water for 2 days before leaking. In our history, fired clay changed storage, transport, cooking, and settlement. Heat transformed a soft mineral material into durable vessels that resisted rot, insects, and water. Pottery did not create civilization alone, and many mobile societies lived well without it. But once settled communities began storing grain, oil, water, and fermented food, ceramics became extraordinarily useful. Keela's world has no ceramic threshold. Clay is still everywhere. Children shape animals from it beside the river. Builders pack it into walls. Healers spread it over insect bites. But when rain returns, unfired clay softens. A bowl left in water becomes earth again. Keela knows this better than anyone. Her sister Sani is preparing to lead a trading journey south. The travelers will follow the coast for 12 days, carrying dried fish, shell beads, stone blades, medicinal leaves, and news. In return, they hope to receive obsidian from a volcanic region and a variety of nut that stores longer than local food. The weakest part of the journey is water. Streams are seasonal. Water bags are heavy and vulnerable to thorns. Keela has spent months designing a larger bark vessel with an inner lining of wax and crushed resin. It is beautiful. It is also untested. Sani fills it at sunrise. By midday, a dark line appears along one seam. Keela presses more wax into the stitch holes. The vessel holds through the afternoon. The traders leave the next morning. 3 days later, the container splits. Sani's group survives because they know a hidden seep beneath coastal rock. 2 days of trade are lost. One traveler turns back. When Sani returns weeks later, she places the broken vessel before Keela without accusation. "We carried too much hope in one skin," she says. Keela hears the lesson. Fireless technology develops through the same process as every technology, failure that becomes information. She stops trying to build one perfect container. She designs 6 smaller ones. Weight is distributed. A leak does not become total loss. The next journey succeeds. This world rewards redundancy long before anyone invents the word. Keela's people are not trapped in a timeless Stone Age. The phrase Stone Age can make millions of years sound like one unchanging morning. Stone technologies can be extraordinarily precise. Different rocks fracture, grind, polish, scrape, and withstand impact in different ways. Bone becomes awls, hooks, points, and needles. Shell becomes blade and ornament. Fiber becomes cord, net, basket, sling, snare, roof, belt, and sail. Fire is missing. Innovation is not. The community develops cold fermentation. Crushed fruit is stored in sealed gourds. Microbes change sugar into acids and alcohol. Some batches become safer and easier to digest. Others become dangerous. Knowledge accumulates through smell, timing, taste, season, and inherited caution. Tubers are grated, rinsed, pressed, and left under leaves until bitter compounds decline. Seeds are sprouted. Nuts are ground into paste. Meat is dried, salted near coastal deposits, or consumed immediately. Fish is buried in cool sand for short periods, then washed and eaten before decay advances too far. There is no universal raw diet. There are hundreds of regional solutions. In warm forests, fruit and soft plant foods dominate when available. Along coasts, aquatic resources provide dense nutrition. On open savannas, meat and marrow matter more. In dry regions, nuts and seeds become essential. Where naturally heated springs exist, people discover that water can soften roots and kill some parasites even without flame. This raises an important boundary in the scenario. Humans have never controlled fire. They have not lost the ability to notice heat. A hot spring is not combustion. Sun-warmed stone is not flame. Fermentation changes food without burning it. The alternate lineage uses every source of energy it can understand, but those sources are local, weak, seasonal, or difficult to intensify. A hot spring can feed one valley. It cannot travel in a pouch. Gila's community knows a geothermal pool 2 days inland. Steam rises from cracks after cool rain. People place tough roots in woven baskets and lower them into hot water. The process takes hours, but the roots become softer and less bitter. The site is sacred because it performs a transformation nobody can carry home. Families travel there during the season when roots are abundant. Stories describe the warm water as breath from beneath stone. Nobody places dry grass near the steaming vents and waits for ignition. In this world, cultural attention has developed around water, earth, and living processes rather than flame. One year, the warm pool cools after an earthquake changes the underground channels. A food source vanishes overnight. Gila watches people lower baskets into water that no longer steams. The disappointment feels larger than a failed harvest. The group had begun relying on a landscape feature as if it were a tool. Now the earth has taken it back. That is the central weakness of energy that cannot be controlled. A natural fire appears where lightning chooses. A hot spring exists where geology permits. Sunlight arrives only when clouds allow. Human beings can adapt to these sources, but they cannot summon them reliably. Controlled fire was one of the first ways our ancestors separated useful energy from the place and moment where nature produced it. An ember could be moved. A hearth could be rebuilt. Heat became portable culture. Gila's world never crosses that threshold. The consequences become sharper when the climate changes. A distant eruption sends fine material into the upper atmosphere. The event is not large enough to end a species or freeze the tropics. It is enough to dim sunlight, shorten growing seasons, and disrupt rain for several years. Gila first notices the sun at midday. Its edge is pale. Sun drying takes longer. Fruit ripens unevenly. Winds shift. The sea remains productive for a time. Then storms keep fishers near shore. Children begin waking cold before dawn. The community has survived bad seasons before. It has stores of nuts, dried shellfish, fermented fruit paste, and seed. Yet all storage systems have limits. Insects enter baskets. Moisture reaches bark containers. Mold spreads through one underground pit. Food without fire is not merely uncooked. It is harder to preserve safely through a long emergency. Smoke, roasting, boiling, and heated vessels gave real human communities multiple ways to make calories last. Fireless people rely on drying, salt, fermentation, cool caves, and constant movement toward fresh resources. When sunlight weakens and rain becomes unreliable, several of those systems fail together. Sani argues that the settlement must divide. Some families should follow the coast north. Others should move inland toward the river. Gila resists. Division means fewer adults watching children at night, fewer defenders against predators, and less knowledge in each group. Staying means exhausting one landscape. The argument lasts until shadows lengthen. Then everyone climbs to sleeping platforms before darkness becomes complete. Decisions that would have continued around a hearth must wait for morning. During the night, a storm arrives. Wind tears leaves from shelters. Rain enters the storage pits. One raised platform collapses. People shout in darkness, but cannot see who has fallen. Keela crawls through mud toward the sound of her sister's voice. Lightning reveals the settlement in white flashes, each image separated by blackness. A tree beyond the ridge is struck. Flame climbs the trunk. For a moment, the entire camp is visible. Keela sees Sani trapped beneath woven beams. She reaches her and cuts the binding with a stone flake. Others gather. They lift together. The branch shifts. Sani crawls free with a broken ankle. The burning tree stands less than 100 steps away. Rain weakens the flames, but does not extinguish them immediately. Keela can feel warmth from the edge of the settlement. Steam rises from wet skin. Children stare. This is another moment when our history might turn. A person could drag a smoldering branch beneath rock. Dry fiber could be protected inside bark. The community could discover that one dangerous night contains an answer to cold. Instead, the storm intensifies. The tree falls downhill. Sparks enter dry thatch. A shelter ignites. Panic replaces curiosity. People flee toward the water. By dawn, 3 shelters and most remaining food stores are gone. The flame dies in mud. Fire has taken what little the cold season left. Keela's people do not remember it as missed technology. They remember it as attack. The disaster becomes a story told for generations. When the sky animal entered the settlement, Sani was pulled from its mouth, and the people survived by reaching water. Culture does not merely preserve discoveries. It also preserves avoidance. The community divides the following week. Sani cannot travel far. Keela stays with her and 8 others beside the coast. The northern group carries the strongest water containers and half the seed. The inland group follows the river. Each carries the same warning about burning trees. The climate recovers slowly. Not every group does. Years later, Keela learns that the inland party disappeared during a cold flood. The northern party joined another community and lost its original language within 2 generations. Sani heals badly but lives. She becomes the settlement's most patient teacher because she can no longer travel long distances. Keela's containers improve. The population does not. This pattern repeats across the fireless world. Intelligence produces local solutions. Climate periodically erases them. Small populations lose inventions easily. A specialized knot, fermentation method, migration song, or tool form can vanish when 5 knowledgeable people die. Fire itself may have been discovered and lost many times in our real prehistory before it became stable enough to survive bad years. Tonight's rule requires every flame tradition to suffer that fate. No cumulative chain lasts long enough. By 30,000 years before the present, the warm coasts and river valleys of Africa, Southern Asia, and island Southeast Asia hold scattered populations of several human lineages. In the most generous branch of this alternate history, a few lineages may also have reached parts of the tropical Americas during unusually favorable climatic windows, although that migration remains far less certain without fire. Some are closely related. Others have been separated long enough to differ in body, voice, disease resistance, and social custom. They meet along migration corridors, exchange tools and partners, compete for shell beds and fruiting groves, and sometimes avoid one another for generations. The world has not produced one globally dominant human species. It has produced a mosaic. Among them is a population living beside a broad river near the equator. A young woman named Avon belongs to a settlement larger than anything Nara or Keela would have known. Nearly 400 people occupy a chain of raised mounds above seasonal floods. The place is not a city. It is large enough to feel like one. Houses stand on timber frames cut with polished stone. Roofs are woven from palm leaves. Elevated walkways connect family compounds during the wet season. Gardens contain fruit trees, soft yams, gourds, leafy plants, and seed-bearing grasses selected over many generations for thinner husks and reduced bitterness. Agriculture has emerged, but not in the same form as ours. Many of the crops that supported early states in real history depend on cooking. Wheat, rice, maize, and many legumes become far more digestible, safer, or practical when boiled, baked, roasted, or processed in heated vessels. In a fireless world, the strongest candidates for domestication are foods that can be eaten raw, soaked, fermented, sprouted, pounded, sun-dried, or warmed in rare geothermal settings. Fruit trees matter enormously. So do nuts, oil-rich seeds, tender roots, sugar-rich stems, seaweed, shellfish, fish, and plants whose toxins can be removed through water and time. Avon's people grow a small seeded grass that can be softened by soaking and sprouting. They press seed paste into thin sheets and dry them on dark stone under the sun. The result is dense, chewy, and vulnerable to rain. It is not bread. They cultivate gourds as carefully as food because every household needs containers. They manage fish ponds connected to the river. They build woven traps that allow small fish to escape. They harvest freshwater snails. They encourage colonies of edible insects in rotting logs. Protein comes from many small sources because one large animal cannot be stored safely for long. The settlement survives through diversity. Its greatest achievement is not a monument. It is a calendar. Avon's mother, Yara, is one of 6 people responsible for tracking the river, stars, insect cycles, bird migration, and the flowering of trees across a year. They maintain records using knotted cords, carved bone strips, arranged shells, and songs with fixed rhythmic structures. Writing has not become widespread, but external memory has. Fire is not required to make a mark. Pigments can be ground from minerals and plants. Bark can be beaten into sheets. Bone, shell, wood, and stone can carry symbols. The problem is durability and scale. Humidity destroys bark. Insects eat fiber. Floods scatter carved pieces. Stone inscriptions survive, but require immense labor with stone tools. Knowledge remains attached to people. A record is useful only if someone knows how to read its pattern. Avon learns the flood song before she understands all of its words. It contains the order in which highland rains reach distant tributaries. It names birds whose arrival predicts changing water. It encodes 3 disastrous floods and the height each reached on an old tree that has since fallen. The song lasts 40 minutes. Avon can sing it without error. This is what complex civilization looks like when storage is fragile and books never become cheap. Memory is a profession. The settlement also has law, ritual, adoption, marriage agreements, trade debts, and councils. Social complexity does not wait for metal. People can organize thousands of relationships using speech, symbol, and obligation. Yet specialization has a ceiling. Every adult still contributes directly to food, water, repair, or defense. No large surplus supports full-time armies, vast priesthoods, permanent bureaucracies, or generations of craftspeople working only on abstract problems. The energy budget is too narrow. Cooking would not automatically create kings or cities. It would make more foods available, reduce some processing costs, and support storage technologies that increase population density. Fire would also open pottery, lime plaster, brick, metal, glass, and eventually machines. In its absence, each layer that might support the next one remains thin. Avon does not experience her world as incomplete. She has never imagined a bronze blade, a ceramic jar, or a written archive. She measures wealth in living trees, well-made cord, healthy kin, dry storage, access to salt, and people who owe help during flood. Her central concern is the eastern granary. The word granary is generous. It is a long raised structure containing woven bins filled with sprouted seed cakes, nuts, dried fruit, and packets of fermented paste sealed in waxed leaves. The roof has been repaired twice. A family of rodents has learned to climb one support. The settlement needs the food to last until the river falls. Avon notices moisture first. One bin smells sweet when it should smell sharp. She opens it and finds white growth spreading through the lower layers. The stored seed was not dried enough before the rains. She calls Yara. By afternoon, 3 bins have been emptied. Some food can be saved. Some cannot. The council must decide whether to distribute the remaining stores early or preserve them for the weeks when fishing becomes difficult. Avon argues for opening one sealed fermentation pit on higher ground. An elder named Doro refuses. The pit contains reserve paste made during the previous dry season. Once opened, it will spoil quickly. It is the settlement's protection against a second failure. We are inside the first failure, Avon says. Doro looks toward the dark clouds over the river. Not yet. The dispute is not about courage. It is about uncertainty without refrigeration, sterilization, sealed ceramic vessels, or heat. Fireless communities become experts in biological risk. They know that food can change invisibly. Smell helps, but does not reveal every pathogen. Fermentation can preserve and protect when the right organisms dominate. The wrong conditions can produce illness. Avon proposes a smaller test. They open one side chamber of the reserve pit. The paste is still safe. Families receive reduced portions. The main chamber remains sealed. 2 days later, the river rises faster than the flood song predicts. Rain in the distant highlands has fallen outside living memory. Water reaches the first walkway before dawn. Families lift sleeping children. Fish ponds merge with the river. A support beneath the eastern granary shifts. Avon hears wood crack. The structure tilts toward the current. People rush onto the walkway and pull ropes tied to the roof. Others brace supports from below. Water reaches their waists. The granary contains food for hundreds of people and weighs more than the settlement can move. One woven wall tears open. Packets of food spill into brown water. Avon sees months of labor turning slowly in the current. She cuts a roof binding and drops an entire section across the breach. The roof catches against 2 posts, forming a rough net. People climb onto it and recover what they can. Then the second support fails. Yara shouts for everyone to leave. Doro remains beneath the structure, trying to secure a rope around the main beam. Avon moves toward him. The granary twists. Yara catches Avon around the chest and pulls her backward. The building enters the river with a sound like a forest breaking. Doro disappears beneath it. The current carries the roof downstream. The flood lasts 4 days. When the water falls, the settlement is still standing. The food system is not. Gardens lie beneath silt. Fish traps are gone. Several storage pits have filled with water. Doro's body is found against a tree 2 kilometers away. Avon blames the decision to delay opening the reserve. Yara does not. If we had opened it earlier, the flood would still have taken the granary, she says. We would have eaten more before it did, and had nothing now. Avon looks toward the surviving sealed pit. The main chamber remains dry. Doro's caution has saved the settlement after his death. This is not a simple lesson about tradition being wise or youth being reckless. Avon's test prevented unnecessary loss. Doro's reserve prevented famine. The flood song failed because climate produced an event outside the old pattern. Knowledge survives by changing without forgetting why earlier rules existed. Avon leads the rebuilding. She moves storage away from one central structure. New bins are distributed across 7 mounds. Each household maintains part of the reserve, but no family controls enough to withhold food from the settlement. The supports are widened and protected with polished stone collars that make climbing harder for rodents. Walls are double woven. Air can move between layers. Roofs extend farther to protect from slanting rain. Small inspection panels allow people to check lower food without opening an entire bin. The result is not a substitute for pottery. It is an answer to the same problem built from different materials. Avon also changes the flood record. One song is no longer enough. The community places carved markers on high ground, each showing water level and moon position. Copies of the flood pattern are traded to upriver settlements. Travelers are asked to report unusual rain before water reaches the main valley. Information becomes infrastructure. Avon's settlement recovers. Others do not. Across the river basin, food failures force migration and conflict. One group attempts to take the surviving reserve. Avon's people defend the mounds with slings, spears, nets, and narrow walkways designed to limit attackers. There is no fire to burn the settlement deliberately. War is still possible. Humans do not require metal swords or flaming arrows to injure one another. Resource scarcity, fear, revenge, and ambition already exist. Yet warfare remains constrained by population density, travel speed, and supply. An army cannot carry cooked grain in durable jars. It cannot forge standardized weapons. It cannot maintain long campaigns far from fresh food and water. Violence is local and often costly to the victors. The attacking group withdraws after losing 3 people. Months later, Avon negotiates access to one fish pond in exchange for labor repairing an upstream embankment. Cooperation returns because extermination would waste knowledge and bodies both communities need. This does not make fireless humanity morally better. It makes power harder to concentrate. There are leaders, bullies, healers, traders, skilled speakers, and families with more allies than others. There are captives in some regions and inherited status in others. But no ruler can command a furnace, an arsenal, a fleet of metal tools, or a harvest stored in thousands of sealed ceramic vessels. Large inequality is possible. Large states are difficult. Avon lives to old age. Her knees fail before her memory does. Children gather around her during bright evenings to learn the flood song and the story of the granary. They do not gather after dark unless the moon is high. The settlement has lamps of a kind, but not flames. Shallow shells hold crushed organisms that glow faintly when disturbed. Certain fungi emit green light on damp wood. Reflective pale stone increases moonlight inside open shelters. These are beautiful adaptations. They do not turn night into day. Most work stops at sunset. Human sleep remains more closely tied to darkness. Night watches continue. Predators are less common near the large settlement, partly because hunting and habitat management have changed the local ecosystem. Insects remain relentless. Smoke never drives them away. The night belongs to rest, fear, intimacy, stars, and dreams. Avon's people know the sky in extraordinary detail. Without artificial light, the Milky Way is not a faint band. It is architecture. Seasonal stars guide fishing, migration, planting, and ceremony. Navigators memorize the rising and setting points of hundreds of lights. The moon structures meetings because it determines how safely people can travel after sunset. Astronomy grows without telescopes. Mathematics grows without metal. Avon's descendants use knotted cords to track cycles and exchange. They understand ratios through weaving and rhythm. Surveyors level canals using water-filled gourds and sighting frames. Architects build tall earthen platforms that survive floods. There is science in this world. It accumulates slowly because replication across distance is hard. A measurement cannot be printed and sent to thousands of strangers. It travels in trained memory, carved tables, and trusted networks. One broken trade route can isolate a discovery for generations. By 5,000 years before the present, several tropical river systems contain settlements of thousands. One coastal center may reach 20,000 during a period of abundance. Its raised earthworks, timber halls, canals, gardens, and markets would astonish anyone who equates civilization with metal. Then disease moves through it. Dense populations create their own pressures. Raw animal products and contaminated water transmit pathogens. Without boiling, clean water depends on springs, sand filtration, settling, sunlight, careful source protection, and avoidance of waste. These methods can be effective. They are vulnerable during flood and crowding. The outbreak begins with vomiting and fever after a storm enters the main water channels. The city has no germ theory in the modern sense, but observers recognize that households using one protected spring fare better. Leaders close contaminated canals. Water is passed through layered sand, charcoal collected from old natural burns, and cloth. Containers are placed in direct sunday. Some lives are saved. Thousands still die. The city contracts. Families return to smaller settlements. Large-scale urbanization gains a reputation for danger. Again, fire is not the only missing technology. Sanitation, institutions, medicine, and knowledge matter. Yet boiling water would have offered a powerful intervention. Fired pipes, durable drains, lime plaster, and ceramic storage would have supported denser settlement. Without those tools, the safest human geography remains distributed. The fireless world develops networks rather than empires. Coastal boats carry shells, salt, fibers, stone, dried fish, fermented paste, pigments, medicinal plants, and stories between warm regions. Boats can be built without fire. Stone adds its shape wood slowly. Reeds can form large vessels. Natural resins and fiber lashings replace nails. Sails are woven. Currents and stars become roads. Ocean crossing remains dangerous because cold, wet travelers cannot warm themselves or cook stored food. Voyages follow coasts in favorable seasons. Islands are settled where distances are short. Remote cold oceans remain barriers. The Americas may still receive fireless humans through warm coastal windows or earlier mild periods. But migration is less certain and population remains concentrated in tropical and subtropical zones. Australia and nearby islands may hold distinct lineages. Northern Eurasia belongs largely to animals. Woolly mammoths, steppe bison, giant deer, and other cold-adapted species face climate change, but far less hunting pressure from humans. Some still disappear for environmental reasons. Others survive much longer. Many island birds never encounter human settlers. Forests are not cleared by deliberate burning. This changes the planet. Real humans used fire not only in hearths, but across landscapes. Indigenous burning practices in many regions created mosaics, encouraged useful plants, improved hunting, reduced some catastrophic fuel loads, and shaped ecosystems over long periods. Later agriculture and industry transformed land on larger scales. Fireless humans cannot manage landscapes through controlled burns. Natural wildfire still occurs. In some places it becomes more severe because fuel accumulates. In others, less frequent human ignition allows forests to expand. Grasslands shift. Species adapted to anthropogenic fire lose one ecological partner. The planet is not simply greener. It is differently burned. By the time our real history builds pyramids, smelts bronze, writes law on clay, and sends ships across seas, the alternate world holds intelligent societies of its own. They have no metal, ceramics, glass, charcoal industry, brick kilns, lime mortar, or written archives on fired tablets. There is also no chain leading from furnace to steam engine, no coal industry, no internal combustion, no electricity generated by burning fuel. The absence of fire remains one missing branch from which thousands of later branches would have grown. Now move to the alternate present. The year has no global number. Different societies count time from floods, dynasties, migrations, eclipses, and the flowering of ancient trees. A coastal network near the equator marks the current cycle as the 83rd return of a bright comet recorded by its skykeepers. One of those keepers is a woman named Senna. She lives in a river city of 12,000 people, one of the largest settlements on Earth. The city spreads across artificial mounds separated by canals. Timber halls rise above gardens. Woven bridges flex under foot traffic. Water wheels turn slowly in the main channel, driving stone grinders through shafts of hardwood and fiber belts. Fireless does not mean powerless. Moving water can perform work. Wind can drive sails and simple rotors. Falling weights can regulate clocks. Human and animal muscle can raise stone, pump water, spin fiber, grind seed, and cut canals. Senna City has mechanical workshops filled with sound. Wooden cams lift pestles in sequence. Stone flywheels smooth, irregular motion. Cordage transfers force around corners. Bearings are made from polished stone, shell, dense wood, oil-rich seeds, and replaceable fiber sleeves. The machines are large because materials cannot tolerate the precision and heat that metal would allow. They break often. Repair is a major profession. The central water mill grinds more seed in one day than 50 people can process by hand. That surplus supports teachers, navigators, healers, record keepers, engineers, judges, and artists. A civilization has emerged without fire, but it remains tied to rivers, wind, and muscle. It cannot concentrate energy the way combustion does. Senna works in the House of Returning Stars, an open-roofed complex built from stone, rammed earth, and replaceable timber. There are no glass lenses. Astronomers sight along precisely aligned stone edges, use water surfaces as mirrors, and observe bright objects through polished tubes of dark wood that reduce stray light. Their measurements are impressive. They predict eclipses. They track planets. They know the length of the year to within minutes. Sailors carry star tables encoded on layered bark and knotted cords. Surveyors use geometry to rebuild canal slopes after flood. The house also stores histories. Rows of wooden cabinets contain bark books coated with insect-repelling oils, bone tablets, shell sequences, woven maps, and cords carrying census information. The oldest surviving bark record is 300 years old. Older knowledge lives in copies. Every generation rewrites what it cannot afford to lose. Senna's father taught her the copying discipline. One archive is no archive. One teacher is no tradition. One route is no escape. The rule came from centuries of flood, mold, insects, war, and accident. It has never been tested by what is coming from the western hills. The dry season began early. Rain clouds formed over the coast and dissolved before reaching inland forest. Leaves fell. Wind remained hot after sunset. Hunters reported smoke 3 days ago, far beyond the river's western branch. Natural wildfire is familiar to the city. Most fires slow at wetlands and managed clearings. People remove dry vegetation around houses. Canals create barriers. Watchers track smoke from towers. This fire behaves differently. A storm without rain passed over the hills. Lightning ignited several valleys at once. Wind joined them. The fire crossed a dry marsh that had protected the city for generations. At midday, ash begins falling on Senna's sky tables. She looks west. A dark column has risen above the forest. The city's council meets immediately. Their options reveal one of the deepest ironies in the fireless world. They understand wildfire. They do not know how to fight it with fire. In our world, controlled burning and backfires can remove fuel before an advancing front arrives. Such methods are dangerous and require deep knowledge. Many indigenous societies refine them over long periods, using fire to reduce risk and shape landscapes. Senna's people can cut vegetation, flood ground, clear roofs, and move water. They cannot deliberately ignite a defensive line. The city has 3 days if the wind remains steady, less if it turns. Daro, Senna's older brother, oversees canal maintenance. He proposes opening the northern embankment and flooding the western gardens. The water would destroy crops and weaken several house foundations. It might create a wet barrier wide enough to slow the fire. A counselor objects. The city's food reserves already depend on those gardens. Another proposes evacuating across the river. The eastern bank can hold only part of the population. Boats are limited. The current is low but fast. Leaving too early may cause panic. Leaving too late may trap thousands between flame and water. Senna's concern is the archive. The House of Returning Stars sits on a stone mound, but its roof, cabinets, and records are combustible. Centuries of copied knowledge can become smoke in minutes. She asks how many boats can be assigned to records. Darrow looks at her as if she has misunderstood the question. None until every child is across, he says. There will be no maps for the return. There may be no return. The argument continues in private after the council disperses. Senna insists that losing the archive will kill people later through failed navigation, medicine, weather prediction, and law. Darrow agrees and refuses to sacrifice present bodies for future information. Knowledge can be remembered, he says. Not all of it. People can make it again. Not all of it. He places both hands on the water map. Then choose what deserves weight. The sentence follows Senna back to the house. The archive contains more than any boat can carry. She walks through cabinet rows while Ash enters the open roof. Which knowledge deserves weight? Star cycles used by sailors. Plant medicines. Flood histories. Treaties. Genealogies. Water will designs. Records of past epidemics. Songs and languages spoken by fewer than 100 people. Court decisions that prevent powerful families from claiming communal land. Maps of springs across dry country. Stories copied because beauty was considered a reason for preservation. A civilization is partly the refusal to choose among these things. Disaster chooses for it. Senna calls every student, teacher, and copyist in the house. They work through the night without lamps. Moonlight enters the courtyard. Pale stone reflects enough to sort records. People memorize aloud while hands pack waterproof bark cases. The air smells of smoke. Senna creates 4 collections. The first contains information needed during evacuation: river routes, safe islands, medicinal plants, family lists, and locations of food stores. The second contains knowledge needed to rebuild: canal designs, calendars, crop records, construction patterns, and agreements with neighboring settlements. The third contains what no living person can reproduce easily: rare languages, long astronomical observations, and historical records. The fourth contains everything else. The fourth collection stays. At dawn, the western sky glows orange beneath smoke. Darrow opens the northern embankment. River water enters the gardens. People cut channels with stone and wooden tools. Water wheels are disconnected and used as lifting frames. Every available container moves water toward roofs and walkways. The city begins crossing east. Children go first with older people and those unable to swim. Animals panic at the boats. Families argue over bundles. Guards remove possessions when weight becomes dangerous. There is no engine to pull a loaded vessel against current. Each crossing depends on paddles, poles, sail, and strength. By midday, the fire reaches the outer forest. Sound arrives before flame. It resembles wind and ocean together. Animals emerge from the western trees and run through flooded gardens. Monkeys cross roofs. Snakes enter water. Birds fill the sky. The wet barrier slows the first front. It does not stop embers. Burning bark travels above the canals and lands on dry thatch. Watch teams beat out small fires with wet mats. One house ignites, then another. The city has no pressurized hoses. Wooden pumps lift water too slowly. People form lines from canal to roof. Senna remains at the house with 20 copyists. The evacuation collections are gone. The rebuilding collection has crossed. The rare records wait in 2 heavy boats below the mound. Wind turns south. For 10 minutes, hope rises. Then a burning tree falls across the western canal and scatters embers through the market. Darrow runs into the house. His hair and skin are wet. Now, he says. Senna points toward the final cabinet. One more case. No, it contains the Comet records. You know them. Not all 83 returns. You know enough to begin again. Behind him, smoke enters the courtyard. A young copyist named Leo tries to lift the case alone. It is carved from dense wood and filled with layered bark. Senna takes one handle. Darrow blocks the doorway. The eastern bridge is burning, he says. The boats leave now. Senna looks at the case. 3,000 years of observations exist inside it, though no single layer is that old. Each generation copied the previous record and added its own. The archive is a chain of hands extending beyond known names. She lets go. Leo does not. Senna strikes his wrist hard enough to make him release the handle. They run. The last boats push away as embers fall on the river. The current carries them east. From the water, Senna watches the house of returning stars catch fire. The roof goes first. Then cabinet rows brighten through open walls. Bark books curl. Fiber maps vanish. Wax seals melt. Wooden siding frames collapse. The stone mound remains beneath a column of sparks. Darrow sits beside Senna without speaking. By evening, half the city is burning. The fire crosses some canals and stops at others. Flooded gardens become black lakes. The eastern bank fills with people who have no shelter, limited water containers, and food for less than a week. The next morning, smoke hides the sun. Senna begins the first reconstruction before anyone returns west. She gathers surviving keepers and asks each to recite what they know. 40 people carry pieces of the sky record. Sailors remember star routes. Healers remember treatments. Judges remember precedent. Farmers remember seed lineages. Children remember songs without understanding why certain words matter. The archive was never only a building. Still, much is gone. One rare language loses its final written grammar. A sequence of eclipse observations becomes incomplete. Medical records from an old epidemic vanish, leaving only conflicting memories. A border treaty survives in one party's copy and not the other's, creating a dispute that lasts years. Senna's guilt takes the shape of the Comet case. She dreams of carrying it across the river while people disappear behind her. Darrow tells her she made the correct choice. She does not ask him to repeat it. When the fire cools, the city returns to ruins. Natural flame has done what controlled fire never did in this world. Transformed materials at scale. Stone has cracked. Wood has become charcoal. Clay walls near the hottest structures have hardened unevenly. Some mud floor fragments ring when struck. People notice. They have noticed after wildfires for hundreds of thousands of years. A hardened clay fragment does not automatically create ceramics. To reproduce it, a person must connect material, temperature, fuel, airflow, time, and controlled enclosure. They must be willing to approach flame, feed it, and keep it near valued objects. Tonight's rule closes that path again. The fragments become curiosities. Children collect them. Builders use a few as drainage pieces. Nobody constructs a kiln because nobody can construct a fire. Senna chooses a different lesson. The rebuilt house will contain less. Copies will be distributed across 7 cities. Core records will be carved into stone despite the labor. Oral specialists will travel between archives, comparing memory. Every important design will exist in forms that do not share one weakness. The reform takes 20 years. It makes knowledge harder to erase. It does not recover what burned. This is the alternate present, not silent, empty, or unintelligent. It is a world of stone observatories, water-powered workshops, woven architecture, biological food processing, oral universities, sail networks, and societies adapted to darkness. It is also a world where one natural fire can erase centuries because fireproof materials never became common. Senna grows old in the rebuilt house. The roof is now separated into sections by wet gardens. Records are stored in stone-lined rooms with removable wooden cabinets. Boats wait permanently below the mound. Children practice evacuation every dry season. The 84th comet return approaches. Senna has spent most of her life reconstructing earlier observations. The new distributed archive will compare the comet's path from 5 distant regions. Messengers have traveled for months. On the expected night, clouds cover the western sky. Senna waits on the roof with Darrow, who walks slowly now. Students adjust sighting stones. The city below is mostly dark. A few fungi lamps glow near walkways. Moonlight touches the river. The clouds open shortly before dawn. The comet appears. It is brighter than the surviving records predicted. Senna dictates measurements while students mark chords and bone strips. Observers in other cities will do the same. No telescope magnifies the coma. No camera records it. No metal instrument measures spectral lines. Yet the observation is careful. A human mind compares present light with inherited pattern. Darrow asks whether the comet case would have told them more. Yes, Senna says. Would it have changed what is there? No, they watch until daylight erases the tale. The scene matters because it prevents a common mistake in this hypothetical. Without fire, human beings would not necessarily remain stupid animals crouched beneath trees for 1,000,000 years. Intelligence can develop through many pressures. Culture can become intricate. People can build meaning, law, mathematics, art, and memory from materials that never enter a flame. The more honest conclusion is both less insulting and more severe. Fire did not give humans imagination. It gave imagination leverage. A story can coordinate a group. A hearth can extend the hours in which stories are told. A stone tool can cut wood. Fire can harden it. Clay can hold a shape. Heat can make the shape durable, or can be recognized as unusual stone. A furnace can turn it into metal. Metal can make better tools for cutting fuel, building furnaces, mining more ore, and shaping machines. Each step amplifies the next. Fire is not one invention among many. It is a platform. The alternate world can innovate around the missing platform, but many feedback loops never begin. No ceramics means weaker storage and sanitation. No metallurgy means no copper, bronze, iron, or steel tools. Native gold and copper nuggets may be hammered cold into ornaments, but rare soft metal does not create an industrial material system. No high-temperature lime production means less durable mortar and plaster. No glass making means no cheap transparent vessels, windows, lenses, microscopes, or telescopes. No combustion-driven steam means no industrial engine following that path. No controlled burning means no dependable charcoal industry, no coke, and no fossil fuel economy. Charcoal would still appear after natural fires, but it could not support a reliable high-temperature material system. Electricity might still be observed in lightning, static, and biological phenomena. But without metal conductors, glass insulation, precise magnets, furnaces, and industrial manufacturing, observation does not become a grid. A water-powered wooden civilization could advance far beyond anything in the Paleolithic record. It would still face material ceilings. The same is true of medicine. Fireless healers can clean wounds with fresh water, alcohol from fermentation, salt, honey, plant compounds, and careful technique. They can set bones, stitch tissue, isolate illness, and learn through observation. They can develop sophisticated public health around protected springs and waste separation. They cannot boil instruments or water on demand. They cannot manufacture glass laboratory vessels. They cannot smelt surgical metal. Chemistry remains limited because heat is one of chemistry's great tools. The same is true of food. Fermentation can perform remarkable transformations. Soaking, sprouting, pounding, drying, freezing in rare cold regions, high-pressure grinding, and geothermal heat can expand diet. Selective breeding can produce softer and safer crops. But fireless people must spend more biological and social effort turning food into bodies. That energy cost shapes population. How many people live in Senna's world? No responsible answer can provide one exact number. The result depends on assumptions made near the beginning. How much brain expansion occurs without habitual cooking? Which raw-compatible crops become domesticated? Does geothermal cooking count as a local exception? How effectively do fermentation and agriculture develop? Do some lineages evolve digestive adaptations unlike ours? In the generous civilizational branch imagined here, any defensible estimate would remain extremely broad and far below 8 billion. A model might produce populations measured in millions or perhaps tens of millions under favorable assumptions about tropical agriculture, aquatic food systems, fermentation, and biological adaptation. Populations remain concentrated where climate and raw food availability reduce the need for controlled heat. Large areas of the planet contain no permanent human settlement. Northern Europe, Siberia, high mountain systems, Arctic North America, and other cold regions remain dominated by animals adapted through fur, fat, migration, and physiology. Humans visit some margins during warm seasons. Few stay through winter. There is no London, Paris, Beijing, New York, Madrid, or Geneva. There may be tropical cities whose names we cannot imagine. There is no nation-state map resembling ours. No global market. No internet. No satellites. No moon landing. No industrial war. No fossil fuel warming on the modern scale. There are also no antibiotics manufactured at industrial volume. No refrigerated food chains. No modern surgery, and no protection against many disasters that fire-enabled technology helped later societies solve. The world is not a lost paradise. It has less pollution, less industrial habitat destruction, and no nuclear weapons. It also has much higher child mortality, shorter average lives, frequent local famine, untreated infection, and knowledge vulnerable to loss. Megafauna survive in more places. Forests and grasslands follow different histories. Ocean ecosystems face no industrial fishing fleets. Rivers are not dammed with concrete at continental scale. Humans are one influential animal among many, not the dominant geological force of the planet. Whether that outcome is better depends on whose life is being counted. An elephant may experience a safer world. A child with appendicitis does not. Senna would not describe herself as deprived of a smartphone, because the concept does not exist. She experiences music, grief, humor, ambition, friendship, jealousy, curiosity, and love with the same seriousness we do. Her city has beauty. Her science is real. Her brother's life matters completely. Alternate histories become dishonest when they measure only the technologies missing from the shelf. The people are not missing from themselves. Still, there is a deeper possibility. Perhaps no fireless human lineage reaches Senna at all. The cooking hypothesis may be too strong in some popular retellings, but controlled fire could have been essential enough that removing it changes our evolutionary branch beyond recognition. Larger brains, smaller guts, smaller teeth, extended childhood, wider migration, and dense cultural learning may have depended on a package in which cooking played a central role. If that is true, the alternate present contains no fireless cities. It contains surviving hominins with intelligence closer to earlier Homo, living in warm regions in small groups. Or those lineages may have gone extinct during climatic stress, competition, disease, or environmental change. Other apes continue. The planet turns without any animal asking why metal was never made. This creates a second branch beside Senna's world. The result may not be a different human civilization at all. It may be no civilization and no modern humans. The stories of Nara, Gila, Avon, and Senna represent the generous branch of possibility. A lineage finds enough alternative energy, food processing, cooperation, and biological adaptation to remain recognizably human. Even there, the world is transformed. In the harsher branch, Tavi's failed northern journey is not one warning among many. It is the boundary. Climate narrows populations. Raw diets limit energy. Inventions vanish in small groups. One human lineage after another disappears before agriculture, archives, or observatories can emerge. The answer cannot be settled because the real experiment happened only once. Our ancestors did use fire. We cannot remove it from deep time and observe the same species evolve again. We can compare archaeology, anatomy, energetics, primate behavior, ecology, and living food systems. We can build models. We can identify mechanisms. We cannot know every alternative path evolution might have found. Uncertainty does not leave the question empty. Across both branches, several constraints remain strong. Without controlled fire, cooking would be rare and dependent on natural heat. Modern human anatomy and energy balance would be difficult to sustain unchanged. Expansion into cold climates would be severely constrained. Nighttime safety and social life would develop differently. Pottery, metallurgy, glass, and combustion engines would not arise through their historical routes. Population would be far smaller. The industrial world would not exist. Fire did not cause every later invention. It made a vast range of inventions physically possible. Those constraints become clearer when the story returns to Nara's blackened grassland and, for a moment, allows the real historical branch to continue. Imagine the scene changing only slightly. Tavi steps toward the fallen branch. Nara catches his wrist. This time, an older woman approaches with them. She has watched branches smolder beneath ash after rain. She knows that redwood can remain alive after visible flame disappears. Using a long stick, she rolls the ember onto bare ground. Nobody calls it invention. She places dry grass near the glowing end. Smoke rises. Tavi leans close and blows because moving air makes the red color brighten. The grass catches. Everyone moves backward. The fire is still dangerous. The difference is that someone returns. A branch is added, then another. When rain begins, the group carries the smallest glowing wood beneath a rock overhang. Through the night, two adults wake repeatedly to feed it. At dawn, the fire remains. That is closer to how foundational discoveries often enter human life. Not as instant understanding, but as a fragile practice that must survive fear, weather, hunger, argument, and the death of the people who first know it. A flame kept for one night is an event. A flame kept across generations is culture. The 2026 evidence from Wonderwork Cave is powerful precisely because burned remains occurred deep inside the cave and across more than one ancient layer. Something brought heat into a place where ordinary wildfire was unlikely to reach. Earlier research had already identified in situ burning around 1 million years ago at the same cave. At Gesher Banat Yuakov in Israel, burned seeds, wood, and stone from roughly 790,000 years ago support repeated fire use. Heated fish remains suggest controlled cooking there as well. The dates do not produce one universally accepted birthday for human fire. Evidence preserves unevenly. Ash washes away. Open-air hearths erode. Natural and human burning can be difficult to separate. A population may use natural fire without knowing how to create it. Another may create flame, but do so rarely. Habitual cooking may come long after opportunistic use. The ambiguity fits the story. Fire mastery was probably a long relationship, not a single discovery. Once that relationship stabilized, it began changing bodies in days. A root placed near coals softened. Meat heated on stone became easier to chew. Fat melted into food rather than remaining trapped in tough tissue. Some toxins broke down. Parasites died. The same landscape produced more usable energy. More energy did not flow automatically into a larger brain. Evolution has no plan. Yet a reliable cooked diet altered the field of possible trade-offs. Smaller teeth and jaws became less costly. A shorter or differently organized digestive system could be supported. Time spent chewing could fall. Children could receive foods easier to process. The hearth also changed where calories were consumed. Food could be brought to a central place, processed, shared, guarded, stolen, and divided. This created new opportunities for cooperation and exploitation. Fire may have deepened social dependence long before anyone built a village. A person who controls food preparation controls something valuable. A person who cannot gather because of injury may still receive cooked food from others. A child can eat material too tough for its own teeth. An elder with worn molars can remain alive and useful longer. Fire expands care as well as conflict. Night changes next. The darkness beyond a hearth remains dangerous, but the center becomes visible. Faces can be read. Hands can work. Predators approach more cautiously. Wet skins dry. Infants remain warmer. People do not need to climb trees at every camp. Conversation moves into hours previously dominated by silence and vigilance. A hunting mistake can be described after the work is over. A distant relative can become a character in a story. Children hear events they did not witness. Songs lengthen. Ritual acquires light, shadow, smoke, and a center. Fire does not invent imagination. It gives imagination a stage. The difference accumulates quietly. One additional hour of teaching each evening becomes hundreds of hours across a childhood. A story about a dangerous river allows someone to learn without entering it. A story about betrayal stores social information. A myth carries rules farther than direct instruction. Language and culture already existed in some form. Firelight may have helped them scale. The map changes too. A family enters high ground and survives a cold night. Another crosses a seasonal corridor before winter. A group occupies a cave whose deep interior is now accessible with light. Hunters remain longer near migrating herds. Populations adapt to colder regions using fire together with clothing, shelters, food sharing, and eventually tailored garments. No single ember opens Eurasia. Thousands of fires make cold landscapes less absolute. The hearth leaves traces that later archaeologists recognize: ash lenses, burned bone, charcoal, reddened sediment, cracked stone. Around those traces appear tools, food remains, and repeated occupation. Fire becomes part of place. Then humans learn not only to preserve it, but to produce it. The exact methods vary. Friction turns mechanical work into heat. Percussion creates sparks from particular minerals. Dry tinder receives what the hand cannot hold directly. Fire is no longer dependent on lightning or a neighboring camp. This is a second revolution hidden inside the first. A carried ember makes heat portable while it survives. Fire making makes the possibility portable. A traveler can lose every coal and rain and still begin again. The alternate world never reaches that freedom. Our ancestors did. From there, the chain does not move in one straight line. Fire traditions can still be lost. Forests can be wet. Fuel can be scarce. Smoke can cause disease. Camps can burn. People can die from carbon monoxide in enclosed shelters. Children can be injured. Wild animals can be attracted as well as repelled. Fire's work. Wood must be gathered, dried, transported, split, and protected. Someone must watch flame. Someone must manage sparks. In many societies, those tasks become divided by age, gender, season, and status. The first platform technology is also the first daily maintenance burden. Its benefits remain great enough that every known human society uses cooking. Thousands of years later, clay is placed near heat and does not return to mud after rain. Perhaps the earliest firing is accidental. Perhaps it begins with figurines, floors, or lined pits before containers become common. Whatever the path, a new material enters human life. A vessel can now hold water without being carved from a tree or grown as a gourd. It can store grain, oil, fermented drink, seed, salt, medicine, pigment, and memory. It can be placed over heat. Boiling changes food again. Grains and legumes become practical staples. Tough roots become meals. Bones release fat and minerals into liquid. Infants and elders receive soft food. Water can be heated. Storage becomes denser. Population does not explode because one pot exists. The energy system has gained another layer. Hills grow hotter. People learn that some stones change under heat. Copper appears from ore. Hammering, annealing, casting, alloying, and forging develop through long experimentation. Bronze tools improve some work. Iron eventually reshapes agriculture, war, building, and trade. Metal does not replace stone everywhere or immediately. It is costly. Knowledge is uneven. Entire civilizations thrive with limited metal. Yet metallurgy opens precision, durability, and force that organic materials struggle to match. The furnace becomes another platform built on the hearth. Glass follows related knowledge of high temperature and material transformation. Transparent vessels improve observation. Lenses eventually magnify small life and distant stars. Chemistry moves into controlled containers. Medicine gains instruments. Navigation gains precision. The flame in Nara's grassland does not contain a microscope in miniature. It contains the physical possibility of one. This distinction matters. Historical outcomes are not inevitable. A million societies could control fire and never industrialize. Geography, institutions, resources, power, disease, trade, and chance shape every later development. But a society that never controls heat cannot follow many of those paths at all. The difference is between a road not chosen and a road that does not exist. The industrial age intensifies the relationship beyond anything ancient humans could imagine. Coal releases energy stored by ancient plants. Steam moves pistons. Engines separate power from river, wind, and muscle. Factories concentrate people and machines. Iron and steel reshape landscapes. Combustion enters ships, trains, vehicles, power stations, weapons, and homes. Human population rises for many reasons, including agriculture, sanitation, medicine, and public health. Fossil energy helps support dense global systems of food, transport, construction, and manufacturing. The old platform becomes planetary. So do its costs. Smoke from household and industrial fuel kills. Mining destroys bodies and ecosystems. Fire enables weapons that burn cities. Fossil combustion changes the composition of the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide accumulates. The same control of stored energy that helped humans escape cold now contributes to global warming. The story of fire is not a simple ascent from darkness to goodness. It is the story of leverage. Leverage magnifies intention and mistake both. A hearth can warm a child. A furnace can make a surgical instrument. An engine can carry food through winter. A bomb can set a neighborhood alight. A power station can run a hospital. Its emissions can alter climate far from the people receiving electricity. If ancient humans never discovered fire, Earth avoids this entire chain. It also loses everything dependent on the chain. This is why the alternate present cannot be judged through one emotion. It is quieter and less powerful. It is ecologically richer in many places and harsher for human survival. It contains fewer people and perhaps more non-human life. It avoids industrial catastrophe and never develops industrial rescue. There is no climate crisis caused by fossil combustion. There is no climate science using satellites to understand it. There are no metal weapons of mass destruction. There are no steel bridges carrying emergency medicine. There is no electric light erasing the stars. There is no electric light allowing a surgeon to work safely after sunset. The missing world is not only what humanity did wrong. It is humanity's entire capacity to act at scale. The comparison returns to Senna after the wildfire. She spends her final years teaching students that the city survived because knowledge was distributed and because the northern embankment was opened before the fire arrived. Darrow spends his final years arguing that it was opened too late. Their disagreement becomes part of the official record. That detail would surprise people in our world who imagine a fireless civilization as simple. The rebuilt archive preserves competing accounts. Students compare water levels, wind direction, evacuation times, and witness reports. They understand that memory can be honest and still differ. Senna's culture has developed disciplined inquiry. What it lacks is not reason. It lacks material reach. One afternoon, a student brings her a lump of native copper found in river gravel. The metal has been hammered flat between stones. It shines reddish beneath dirt. Senna turns it in her hand. The piece is too rare and soft for most tools. Artisans make beads from such metal and trade them across great distance. Nobody knows that immense amounts lie chemically bound inside dull rock. Senna gives it back. In our world, fire and or eventually meet. In hers, the meeting never happens. Later, she visits the stone remains of the old house. Rain has softened exposed earthen walls, but the central mound survives. Charcoal still lies beneath collapsed beams. Plants grow through cabinet rooms. She finds part of the comet case hinge, blackened but recognizable. The bark records inside are gone. Darrow asks why she keeps returning. To remember what one place should never hold, she says. He thinks she means knowledge. She also means power. Fire taught real humans to concentrate energy. Much of civilization became a history of concentration. Food in granaries, heat in furnaces, people in cities, authority in states, fuel in engines, information in libraries and servers. Concentration creates capability. It creates vulnerability too. Senna's distributed world learns this lesson without ever controlling flame. Our world continues learning it with every system we build. On the 85th comet cycle, long after Senna's death, a keeper reads her record aloud. The wording has changed through copying. Some measurements remain exact. One sentence survives because students found it useful. Choose what deserves weight. The fireless civilization applies the sentence to boats, archives, councils, and memory. Our own civilization applies it constantly without saying so. What do we preserve? What do we power? What do we burn? What risk do we accept for warmth, movement, speed, and abundance? Which costs remain invisible because they fall elsewhere or later? The ancient discovery did not answer those questions. It made them possible. The view now widens from Senna's river city back to Nara's grassland, and then across the whole alternate earth. Nara and Tavi stand again beside the burned grassland. Tavi's fingers are dark with charcoal. The branch he wanted to approach has collapsed into ash. In one history, the group walks away. In another, someone saves the ember. The difference does not appear dramatic from the sky. 27 small figures move across an enormous landscape. Whether one carries a glowing branch cannot be seen from far away. No city rises immediately. No human jaw changes that afternoon. No language gains a new word for furnace. The consequence lives in repetition. Tonight the ember survives. Tomorrow it softens food. Next season it warms a child. Years later, someone who never saw the original wildfire learns how to feed it. Generations later, a traveler carries the practice into colder country. Thousands of years later, clay hardens. Much later, or glows. The world changes because a dangerous process becomes dependable knowledge. That may be the deepest answer. If ancient humans had never discovered fire, humanity would not merely lose a tool. It would lose one of its earliest experiences of stored, transferable energy under cultural control. Our species might never evolve in its present form. Human populations would remain smaller, warmer climate adapted, and more dependent on raw compatible ecosystems. Intelligent cultures might still emerge, but their materials, population density, medicine, travel, and institutions would face severe limits. There would be no industrial civilization. Perhaps there would be no civilization at all. Perhaps there would be no one alive who looked enough like us to feel that anything had been missed. And yet natural fire would continue. Lightning would still burn forests. Volcanoes would still ignite land. Drought would still produce smoke. The planet would contain flame without hearths, combustion without cooking, heat without inheritance. Fire would remain an event. It would never become a tradition. From high above the alternate Earth, night has no constellations made by cities. There are no bright coastlines, no white nets of roads, no ports glowing across bays, and no aircraft moving between continents. Lightning flashes inside storms. Volcanoes shine. Wildfires create temporary orange wounds. Fishing communities may use faint biological light near docks, but human settlement does not redraw the planet in electricity. Most of the land is dark. Dark does not mean empty. In the tropical river systems, voices move across water. Paddles touch the surface. Night insects pulse. On a clear evening, families sit beneath the moon in open courtyards. They tell stories that have learned to live without a central flame. One such story still remembers the sky animal that entered Keela's settlement. The details have changed. Sani now carries a child in some versions. In others, she rescues Keela. The burning tree has become a creature with branches for antlers. Nobody remembers a historical woman named Keela, but the warning remains. When dry wind follows false rain, move food away from leaf roofs and keep water paths open. A story can survive after names disappear. Across another ocean, navigators sing routes between islands. Each verse encodes a current, star, bird, cloud form, or smell carried from land. The songs are precise enough to guide boats and flexible enough to absorb new hazards. Along a warm mountain range, people live near geothermal pools. They soften food in hot water and treat the place with strict rules. No family may claim the springs. Waste must remain downstream. Children learn that invisible heat can injure. The settlement is one of the few places where elders eat softened roots daily. The people do not know they are approximating one benefit of cooking through geology. They know the water allows certain bodies to remain strong. Farther north, the land remains almost untouched by humans. Wolves follow herds across open country. Bears enter caves without finding old smoke in the ceiling. Cold-adapted animals occupy valleys where real human hunters once built shelters and hearths. During brief summers, small fireless expeditions reach the margins. They collect stone, feathers, salt, and stories. They sleep in dense hide tents, huddle through short nights, and leave before autumn. The north becomes a place of myth. People describe lakes hard enough to walk upon, daylight that barely ends, and lights moving across the sky. Few listeners know whether these are observations or exaggerations. Records are difficult to verify across such distance. The alternate humanity knows the planet unevenly. Its maps are excellent where boats and warm currents connect settlements. Great blank spaces remain inland and toward the poles. No one has crossed every ocean. No one has measured the whole Earth from orbit. Some scholars infer its roundness from lunar eclipses, stars, and horizon geometry. Others maintain competing models. Knowledge can be advanced without becoming global. The population speaks thousands of languages. No imperial or industrial system has erased them on the scale familiar to our history. Diversity flourishes. So does isolation. A disease in one valley may remain local. A medical discovery may also remain local. One society discovers that a mold growing on fruit paste can prevent certain wound infections. The treatment works only under specific conditions and is preserved through a healer's lineage. Traders carry it 300 kilometers. Then war closes the route. Within 2 generations, the preparation is forgotten outside its place of origin. Another society develops a highly effective sand and charcoal water filter. The charcoal comes from carefully selected remains of natural forest fires. A sequence of wet decades reduces access to burned wood. The filter tradition changes and becomes less effective. A third learns to use sunlight reflected from pale stone to dry food rapidly inside protected chambers. The method spreads along one coast. It fails in cloudier regions. The alternate world is filled with near breakthroughs. None forms the same accelerating ladder as controlled combustion. This does not mean progress is absent. Water engineering becomes more sophisticated. Plant breeding produces softer, sweeter, less toxic crops. Fermentation is studied through smell, temperature, season, and inherited microbial cultures. Woodworking reaches extraordinary precision. Fiber technology becomes stronger than many people in our world would expect. A suspension bridge made from braided plant material can cross a deep gorge. A large reed ship can carry families and food. A polished stone edge can be sharper than metal, though more brittle. Natural rubber, shell, horn, bone, hardwood, bamboo, and composite layering create objects adapted to specific tasks. The fireless world is not waiting helplessly for iron. It is building around iron's absence. Its art follows the same path. Deep cave painting is rare because darkness prevents long work far from entrances. Art flourishes instead on bodies, woven cloth, carved wood, shell, stone faces exposed to daylight, garden design, dance, and enormous earthworks visible from hills. Some art is temporary by intention. Colored seeds are arranged on wet ground and allowed to wash away. Dancers wear flowers that close before dawn. Songs belong to seasons and are forbidden outside them. A culture without durable fired objects may place less value on physical permanence and more on repeated performance. Beauty survives by being made again. Religion also grows without hearths, sacrificial flames, candles, cremation, sacred lamps, or images of eternal fire. Water, sun, moon, storm, stone, growth, decay, and darkness carry greater ritual weight. Natural wildfire is often treated with fear and respect. Some traditions describe it as cleansing land. Others see it as hunger descending from the sky. Because humans never make flame, no priest can produce it on command. Fire remains beyond ordinary authority. This changes metaphor. People do not speak of fiery passion, burning ambition, sparks of genius, or keeping the home fires alive. They draw comparison from rivers, roots, storms, fermentation, tides, and stars. An idea takes root. Anger floods. A family is one woven cord. Knowledge is water carried in many vessels. Language reveals the technologies a culture expects. Our own speech is filled with fire because our history is. The alternate people also understand warmth. They seek sun, huddle, insulate, migrate, exercise, and share bodies during cold nights. Warmth is precious precisely because it cannot be summoned easily. A sunny stone ledge at dawn may be the social center that a hearth became in our world. Elders receive the warmest places. Meetings begin when light reaches a particular wall. Architecture follows the sun with extraordinary care. Cities are built to capture morning heat and release afternoon wind. Dark stone surfaces warm sleeping platforms. Reflective roofs reduce dangerous midday temperatures. Seasonal rooms shift with solar angle. The sun is their largest usable furnace. It cannot be switched on at night. Clouds remain political events. A sequence of overcast days slows drying, increases food loss, and changes travel. Weather prediction becomes a central science. Communities maintain observers across long distances because information about rain carries direct survival value. Senna's distributed archive eventually becomes a distributed weather network. Messengers move between river basins. Knotted reports record cloud type, wind, flood height, and crop response. The system saves lives. It never becomes a satellite forecast. The difference between these worlds is not a difference between curiosity and its absence. It is the amount of physical power available to curiosity. Consider one question as simple as what stars are made of. Senna's astronomers can map motion, brightness, color visible to the eye, and cycles across generations. They can infer extraordinary things through geometry. Without high-quality lenses, glass prisms, metal instruments, photography, and eventually electronics, they cannot separate starlight into detailed spectra with the precision that revealed chemical elements across space. They may build brilliant cosmologies. They cannot test all of them. A missing material becomes a missing measurement. The same limitation appears in the study of the body. Healers can dissect animals and observe human wounds. They can understand pulse, breath, pregnancy, digestion, infection patterns, and the effects of plants. Without microscopes, microbes remain inferred rather than seen. Without metal and glass, internal surgery remains rare and dangerous. A theory may be correct and remain unconfirmed for centuries. Fire's deepest legacy is not only warmth or cooking, it is experimental reach. Heat allows materials to enter states that ordinary weather rarely produces at useful scale. Those materials create tools that reveal finer structures, produce stronger forces, and preserve more information. New observations then produce new tools. The loop accelerates. No fire means no loop of the same kind. The alternate world may develop other loops. Better plant breeding creates more food, which supports more observers, which improves calendars, which protects crops. Better boats expand trade, which spreads ideas, which improves boats. Water machinery reduces grinding labor, allowing more specialization in engineering. These loops matter. They grow slowly and remain exposed to rot, flood, drought, and regional isolation. This is why Senna's world can have cities without becoming ours. It may remain at that level for tens of thousands of years. Evolution continues during that time. Fireless urban populations adapt to disease. Agricultural groups change in response to diet. Coastal lineages develop different tolerances from inland ones. Human culture keeps shaping human biology. The species may eventually become even less like us. Perhaps future fireless humans develop digestive systems extraordinarily efficient at fermentation inside the gut. Perhaps their jaws remain powerful while tools become more precise. Perhaps their circadian rhythms remain tightly synchronized with daylight. Perhaps social memory becomes more reliable through childhood training. None of this can be predicted confidently. Evolution works with variation available in specific populations, not with traits selected from a menu. The important point is that 1,000,000 years without fire is enough time for the absence itself to become anatomy. A real modern human placed suddenly in that world would struggle. Our teeth, gut, energy demands, cultural expectations, and dependence on cooked food belong to our history. We could eat raw fruit, nuts, vegetables, and carefully selected animal foods for a time. We could use stone tools. We could learn from fireless communities. We would not represent the body that naturally evolved there. Likewise, Senna might struggle in our world for reasons beyond technology. Cooked food would deliver unfamiliar energy and texture. Artificial light would disrupt a life organized around darkness. Traffic, engines, crowds, and constant noise would feel physically impossible. A screen showing distant people would challenge assumptions about presence and trust. She would not be an earlier version of us. She would be the present of another history. Now imagine showing her one ordinary kitchen. A ceramic bowl survives water and years. A steel blade cuts with little effort. A glass window admits light while blocking wind. Refrigeration slows decay. A tap provides treated water. A stove produces controlled heat within seconds. To us, these are background objects. To Senna, each would contain layers of impossible material. She might first fear the flame. She might also understand its significance faster than we expect. Her culture already studies energy, food, water, and risk. She knows what it means to spend hours softening roots, drying fish, repairing wooden machines, and protecting archives from rot. She would see leverage. She would also see danger. One device concentrates enough heat to injure. One city contains more people than many regions of her world. Food arrives from places no citizen can name. Systems depend on distant power and invisible networks. She may ask the question Darrow asked Senna. What deserves weight? What knowledge, population, comfort, and risk can one system safely carry? The alternate world is not only a way to appreciate fire, it is a way to notice dependence. Modern life often hides combustion. A room may be heated by electricity, geothermal energy, a heat pump, nuclear power, or renewable sources rather than a visible flame. Food may arrive already cooked. Metal and glass appear as finished surfaces with no furnace in sight. Yet the historical chain remains. Humanity learned that energy could be controlled, stored, intensified, and applied to matter. Fire was the first great teacher of that lesson. Later technologies found cleaner, safer, and more precise forms. The lesson survived the flame. This means a future beyond fossil combustion is not a rejection of the ancient discovery. It is another step in learning how to use energy without allowing its costs to consume what it supports. Ancient humans controlled fire imperfectly. We still do. The scale has changed. Nara worried about sparks entering grass. Modern societies worry about atmospheric carbon, industrial fire, grid failure, and landscapes made vulnerable by climate change. The underlying responsibility is familiar. Useful energy must be tended, bounded, shared, and prevented from escaping control. The first hearth required attention through the night. So does civilization. There is no need to turn that thought into fear before sleep. It can remain a quiet connection across time. Somewhere more than 1,000,000 years ago, a person woke to add wood before an ember died. That action was small enough to leave no name. It helped preserve a practice that eventually became part of every human life. The person did not know about cities. They knew morning would be colder if the flame vanished. Complex history is built from immediate care. In the alternate world, Tavi walks away from the branch. The glow weakens. Wind lifts a final line of sparks. The group continues toward water. For the rest of that day, nothing appears lost. They still find food. They still protect children. They still laugh. They still mourn the dead. Tavi still grows, learns, and gives the pierced shell to someone younger. That is why the hypothetical carries weight. Foundational changes rarely announce every consequence at the moment they occur. A technology becomes important through all the ordinary acts it later makes possible. One more meal. One safe night. One story told after sunset. One child surviving cold. One pot keeping grain dry. One tool shaping another tool. One experiment reaching a temperature nature did not provide at that place. One generation inheriting a capability instead of beginning again. Remove enough of those acts, and the future changes before anyone can see it. The modern skyline disappears not because an ancient person failed to imagine a skyscraper. It disappears because material possibilities never accumulated beneath it. The alternate Earth continues turning under stars. Senna's rebuilt archive holds copies in distant cities. Sailors move across warm seas. Children learn flood songs. Water wheels turn. Wolves cross northern plains without hearing engines. Natural fires burn where storms ignite them and end when fuel, rain, or landscape decides. Human beings watch from a distance. No hand carries the flame home. And now the distance between that world and this one can begin to close. The alternate river city grows quiet. The last boat reaches its mooring. A water wheel slows as workers lift it clear of the current. In the house of returning stars, students cover bark records against damp air. Senna's measurements of the comet rest in 7 separate archives because one building is no longer trusted with the whole memory. Families finish evening food before darkness becomes complete. There is no cooking smoke above the roofs. No orange light gathers people into circles. The smell is fruit, river water, crushed seed, fermented paste, wet wood, skin, flowers, and earth releasing the heat it received during the day. Children climb onto raised sleeping platforms. Adults check thorn barriers and canal paths. Night watchers listen for animals and changing wind. Some people continue speaking beneath the moon. Others fall asleep as soon as the work of daylight releases them. Their world feels normal from inside. Nobody lies awake grieving a kiln that never existed. Nobody misses steel. Nobody calls the darkness primitive. The people know the comfort their own history has made possible. A tightly woven roof during rain, a dry seed store, a well-cut stone blade, a safe spring, a relative who remembers the right song. Human gratitude always begins with what can be known. The city fades into the larger dark of the planet. Tropical settlements become scattered points not of light, but of sound and movement. The warm oceans continue against their shores. Cold continents remain mostly beyond human life. Forests breathe without roads crossing every distance. Stars remain visible above every inhabited place. This is one possible answer to the question. A smaller humanity, altered in body and culture, intelligent but limited by energy, climate, food, and materials. Another possible answer is quieter still. No Senna, no city, no fireless astronomers measuring comets. Human lineages remain small and eventually disappear. Great apes survive in shrinking forests. Other animals inherit every northern valley. The night sky shines above a planet with no one naming its patterns. Between those possibilities lies uncertainty science cannot remove. The real past happened once. Fire entered human culture, perhaps hesitantly, perhaps repeatedly, perhaps long before the clearest traces survived. By the time our own species spread widely, controlled fire and cooking were woven so deeply into human life that no known society lived without them. We cannot take the flame away and leave everything else unchanged. That is the final scientific caution and the central answer together. Without fire, ancient humans would not remain exactly the same people using different tools. Their diets would change. Their anatomy would change. Their geography would change. Their population, social rhythms, risks, and opportunities would change. The entire later sequence of materials and machines would be removed before it began. Perhaps intelligence would find remarkable detours. It would not find our road. Now let Nara's grassland return one last time, not as a crisis, but as a quiet evening after rain. The wildfire has moved beyond the hills. Black ground holds the day's remaining warmth. New shoots will appear there when the season permits. Fire existed on Earth for hundreds of millions of years before any human hand approached it. Plants burned. Ecosystems adapted. Lightning wrote temporary lines across continents. Human beings did not invent flame. They invented a relationship with it. Tavi sits beside Nara beneath a rock shelf. In the alternate world, there is no ember between them. He turns the pierced shell in his hand. The 3 cut marks catch faint moonlight. Nara points toward the stars used to find water. She tells him where his group will travel when morning comes. They are cold, but close together. They are vulnerable, but not without skill. Their future is smaller than ours and still invisible to them. Across the boundary into real history, another family sits around a low fire. We do not know who they are. Smoke rises beneath stone. Someone moves a branch inward. A child wakes, sees familiar faces, and returns to sleep. No one understands that this small circle of warmth belongs to a chain reaching toward every furnace, lamp, engine, ceramic cup, glass window, and warm room that will exist later. The fire is important because it is needed now. That is enough. You may be resting tonight in a room without any visible flame. Heat may arrive through pipes, wires, sunlight stored during the day, moving air, hot water, or a system far more advanced than a hearth. The light nearby may come from electricity rather than burning fuel. Still, the room belongs to the long human history of making energy available when and where the body needs it. The blanket does part of the work ancient hides performed. The walls block wind. The window admits light while holding weather outside. A glass of water can remain beside you in a vessel that does not leak back into earth. Materials shaped by temperatures beyond an ordinary camp surround modern life, so completely that they become difficult to notice. There may be metal in the bed frame, wiring inside walls, glass in the window, ceramic in a cup, and treated water moving through pipes. Each material contains a history of heat, even when it feels cool beneath the hand. There is no need to inventory the room. Only notice that it holds you. The alternate cold can remain far away. The predator beyond the ridge does not need to be heard. The archive does not need to be carried to a boat. No wildfire is approaching the Western Canal. The story has completed its long journey from one unclaimed ember to an entire world that never learned to keep it. The result was not simply darkness. It was another body, another map, another civilization, or perhaps no civilization at all. Fire gave our ancestors more than a source of light. It made energy portable, food more accessible, cold regions more survivable, night more social, and matter more transformable. It did not guarantee wisdom. It increased what human choices could do. The choices continued all the way to this ordinary night. Let the imagined branch now separate from the real one. In the alternate world, the last natural flame on the distant ridge fades in rain. Nara's people move south when morning comes. Their footprints cross wet ground and disappear beneath later seasons. In the real world, an ember remains beneath ash. Someone knows where it is. Someone wakes before dawn and checks it. The red point brightens when air reaches it. Dry grass catches. Warmth returns before the sun. That person has no name we can recover. There may have been thousands like them across deep time. The discovery belongs not to one genius, but to generations willing to approach, observe, fail, remember, and teach. Their inheritance has reached farther than they could imagine. It has reached a body lying safely enough to listen to a question about a world without fire. Now the question no longer requires attention. The scientific uncertainty can remain where it belongs, among ancient sediments, burned bones, changing anatomy, and models of evolution. The alternate settlements can rest beneath their unlit sky. Senna's comet can continue beyond the horizon. Tavi's shell can return to darkness. Your breathing does not need to change for any of it. Air enters. Air leaves. The body maintains its own quiet heat, the oldest warmth in the story, present before tools and technology. A blanket holds some of it close. A room slows its escape. The surface beneath you carries your weight. Outside, the real earth still contains natural fire. Lightning may be moving inside a distant storm. Magma remains hot beneath rock. Somewhere, a controlled flame may be warming food. Somewhere else, people are replacing combustion with cleaner forms of energy while carrying forward the ancient aim of warmth, safety, and useful power. The planet is not fireless. It is not one continuous fire either. Most of it is dark, cool, water-covered, forested, stony, or quietly alive. Flame appears in particular places. Human attention gives some of those flames boundaries and purpose. For now, no boundary needs to be watched by you. Let the first grassland move farther back in time. Let the burning branch become a small red point, then ash, then only an idea. Let the alternate cities of woven wood and stone settle beneath the stars. Let the rivers continue carrying boats after the story has gone quiet. The warmth available tonight does not have to be explained again. It can simply be felt. Thought may continue making small connections. A blackened field, a pierced shell, a clay wall that never became a pot, a comet recorded on bark, a spark protected beneath stone. They can drift without forming another argument. The mind does not need to decide whether fire created humanity or merely changed the path humanity took. Both possibilities lead to the same quiet recognition. Without it, we would not be here in the form we know. The room can grow simpler now. No ancient map, no alternate population, no million-year chain of consequences. Only darkness at a comfortable distance, air moving softly, and the stable warmth of the present. The first hearths are long gone. Their smoke left no message addressed to us. What remained was practice passed from hand to hand until it became ordinary. Ordinary things can carry the deepest history. A warm surface, a safe drink, food the body can use, light available when darkness arrives, a story continuing after sunset. Let this story end where so many human stories may have begun, with people resting close together while the dangerous world remains beyond a protected center. The center no longer needs to be flame. Tonight it can be the room itself. The imagined fireless earth has gone dark. The real earth continues through the night, carrying every old discovery without asking you to hold it consciously. Nothing needs to be tended before morning. Sleep well.